5x5 in chat with no cheating like Austin did and Michael did because they saw the ticker change where it says you can ask questions, which ironically is something you can do. This is interactive. It's a Shuttle Sunday show, but it is interactive. So what you do is you do it on a space flight, then you question, and then it'll go into a panel, and we'll try and answer it best we can. The fun thing is, a lot of people watch this recorded, so if you're watching it live, that works. But if you're watching recorded, I think you'll find that won't work because you won't be in the chat room with it. But this is STS-7. This is the latest Space Shuttle Sunday. It's what we like to do as much as we can. We're going to go through all the missions, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're actually considering doing STS-7 and STS-8, and I realised we have so much content on STS-7, we should just focus on that mission. And it is an iconic mission because the thumbnail you see right now, Ride, Sally, Ride, which actually was the actual saying at the time. That was the buzzword they used because Sally Ride was a pioneer and it was a very historic mission for that thing. So let's quickly go through the basics of this mission. It was Shuttle Challenger, and it launched in 1983, June 18th, 1983, from 39A. That's why we do this in Space Coast Live, by the way. If you're wondering why do we do this in Space Coast Live, it's because this is the launch site for these missions. So it makes a lot of sense to do the synergy of showing things on the VAB, showing 39A. And it's SpaceX guys now, but that's where a lot of space shuttle missions launch from. And then eventually we go to 39B, which is now for SLS, but that'll be where previous space shuttles launched from. There's 39A as we speak about it right now in view. That is where this mission launched from in 1983. But enough of that. Let's introduce who we've got on with us. Let's first of all start by saying hello to Sawyer.
Hello there, Chris. I would start singing Mustang Sally, but then again, we'd get a copyright strike and don't want any more of those.
No, we don't want any of those silly ones because YouTube heard a word they think belonged to a song from some time ago and they go, that's copyright strike. Anyway, speaking of which, who joined us as well, we've also got Jack Bass. Hello, Jack.
What up? I didn't say hello, but I said what up because it's Shuttle Sunday and we're going to talk about STS-8, so I'm excited.
Subtract a number.
7. We're going to talk about STS-7.
There you go.
I know what I'm doing.
I'll tell you what we can do. We can bring up the mission patch, which, again, the Space Shuttle era, it was amazing, the Space Shuttle patches. It's quite a strange shape, so it might be cut off a little bit. There we go. It's challenges at the top. That's all you're missing. I think you've all worked out already. But the mission patches for the early Space Shuttle missions, in fact, most of them were really good, especially the early ones. They were just very... They told us... We said this last time, didn't we, Si? They tell the story of the mission. They really are helpful in the way they're designed. And I think a lot of patches try and do that. I know our patches with Pauline try and do that now with Starship. But the old Space Shuttle mission patches were just amazing.
Yeah, and there's so many little details that they put in there that makes it so cool. Obviously, the robotic arm in the shape of the number 7, which is something they would recreate in flight. I'm sure we'll get to that. And then if you look at the little star there in the just underneath the left wing, or in this case, our view, the right wing, you notice the 5 points for the 5 crew members. 4 of them are designated as male, and that 5th one pointing at the bottom there is for female Sally Ride.
There we go. If you can see my tiny cursor moving on the screen, I was actually showing it as Sawyer was talking there, but that's a lovely little Easter egg. It's not really an Easter egg because it's really obvious, but it's kind of cool that they mention it. In fact, I can bring up a picture of the crew because that is cool as well. Here we go. Here's 4 recruits. We've got the famous one I would always say is Bob Crippen, because Bob Crippen launched with John Young on STS-1. And he's just an all-round cool guy. I became really a big fan of his after Columbia was lost. But when Columbia was lost, rightly so. Everyone was about the astronauts, and of course there would be. But he did a standalone speech for Columbia, the actual ship. And it was like I'll show it one Shuttle Sunday. I think I've shown it on Twitter, or X as they call it nowadays, quite a few times, where he basically went into a long historical speech about Columbia, and he spoke about the ship as if it was another lost crew member. It was really brilliantly done. And I always cite that when people go, Chris, they're only ships. They're only like pieces of metal and what have you. They're not real people. And I go, I know not real people, but the shuttle people always treated them with the amount of respect that they took a tradition from the old sailing days. That's why we call them she's. It's basically a lot to do with that. And I think it's important just to show a real veteran astronaut speaking the way he did and the way he has done about the orbiters to just portray what we mean by that, by the care and attention these vehicles being given.
Yeah, that was a really touching speech from Bob. It's going to be a tough. It's going to be a tough couple shuttle Sundays when we get to that point, for obvious reasons. But I mean, it makes sense too if you think about it. Bob Crippen was part of the MOL program and wanted to go to space for a long time before finally getting the opportunity on STS-1. STS-7 is his second space flight. Is it also on Columbia? Or no, it's on Challenger. I'm dumb. Either way, his first ride to space after a huge portion of his life waiting was Columbia, and I could understand how somebody would have a special reverence or fondness of the first vehicle that took them to space, especially on a mission as historic as STS-1.
Right.
I should probably ask. Sorry. I was going to say, I've actually not too sure how we'd do STS-51L and 107. Chat, should we cover those two missions? They will be horrendous shuttle Sundays because they're both disasters. I
mean,
want to get.
are we
I'll
really
ask
gonna?
you and Jack first. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, are we really going to say anything that hasn't already been said? I will say,
know.
I will say personally. Obviously, the YouTube algorithm knows the sort of videos that I watch on my account, and if there's anything space related, it'll show it to me. And I don't, the thumbnails for 51, it's always just
Yeah.
you see that thumbnail. Like, I don't want to see that. That's like it's just not. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe we do it and we try and put our own voices on it. But either way, if we do it, we're going to need to perhaps approach it differently than
Yes.
a standard YouTube channel, and really take care to make sure we're doing it justice. Anyways,
Chat
I'll
says
shut up.
yes. Chat says yes.
mean,
Even Kevin Michael Reed says yes.
I mean, the thing is, though, and I'm sure you'll all agree, we do not show what happened at 73 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's seen it. Like, it's not, it's iconic footage in the worst possible way. It's like the footage of 9/11. Like, nobody needs to see that again.
So I tell you what we could do. We could probably take an angle of the commission report because Rogers commission into 51L and the I forget which one was it for 107.
What, the CAIV?
That was it wasn't the name. That's right. Yeah, it was those two reports were kind of lessons learned, and they've been applied into commercial crew today, and also we're looking at Orion's heat shield on SF Live. Yes, things like that. NASA's not going to be like, oh well, we've seen it before. It's something we understand, like they did with the external tank firm loss. They're going to think we cannot afford to take any missteps here, not with a crewed mission, and that has played in from the disasters they've struggled from with the space shuttle program. So there's an angle there. We won't put a thumbnail with an exploding shuttle on it. We'd that's I know some channels would. Some channels absolutely would. But let's not go into that too much. But yeah, chat's saying mainly yes. So we'll have a think about it. We're a long way off yet before we get to that. So let's get back to this one. But
If
yes,
we could
go on.
play Richard Feynman's bit with the ice water cup, I mean, that's yeah.
Oh yes.
Westy is in chat is saying, can we do everything but the launch, like mission profile, etc.? Maybe something like that. Maybe something like where we talk about, like, what if it hadn't happened, and we can have sort of like a fun daydream about Slick 6 actually being used and all kind. I don't know. There's an angle there, but that's far down the line, like you said, Chris.
Right.
Let's talk STS-7.
And to bring it back to STS-7, yeah, also talking about what came out of it with the Challenger Centers for Space Science Education.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest supporters of Challenger Centers was Norm Thagard, who flew on STS-7.
Wow, there we go. That is a wonderful synergy, Sawyer. That is brilliant. I didn't know that.
Yep,
that is
for the one in particular in Tallahassee, Florida, because he went to FSU, and so he's been a huge proponent and supporter of it, especially in northern Florida there.
There we go. Wonderful. I'm not too sure if this photograph it's tagged in L2 as Challenger's ferry flight. I can't work out if it was after the mission or not, so I threw it in as pre-launch. because it is a wonderful photograph anyway, and I just wanted to put it in there, so that's what I did. I know Jack likes his plane as well. Look at it, we go,
Absolutely.
905. There we go.
Absolutely. I mean,
Still,
is there a more iconic plane setup like with the red, white, and blue and an orbiter on top? It's just like I'm not a patriotic person, but America, like,
yes,
Even with the tail cone.
yeah,
yeah.
even with the tail cone, which I
Even the
hate.
Telga- But have you noticed they're still not painted yet? They're still in the old American Airlines silver livery kind of thing. They did
Yep.
eventually paint them white, but yeah, it's still the old-fashioned 905, and it's really cool. But this is rollout. This is definitely pre-launch. A little Easter egg here is I've mentioned this before, and I've actually get to show it this time. You see the orange bars on the payload bay door is because when they get to the pad, the rotating service structure then opens up the payload bay with special motors because the motors on board the orbiter themselves can only open the payload bays in space. They weren't powerful enough to open them manually on the ground. So that was just something that lasted the entire space shuttle program. They rolled out with the payload bars on so they could literally ramp them open at the RSS, which is the rotating service structure for anybody who's not too sure what I'm on about there, because they literally could not press a button on the orbiter saying open payload bay doors. It only worked in space.
I'm sorry,
There we go.
Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that unless we're in orbit.
Oh yeah, there is an element of that. And by the way,
Uh-oh.
Sawyer, look at the state of LC-39A here.
Oh,
It still needs it's still in its Apollo era. The rotating service structure was improved a lot as well. I mean, you see things like which is the yellow. I love this little yellow cab. I would have died and gone to heaven if I could have driven this because it's on rails. It's so cool. Though. I mean, they scrapped it, and I've asked KSC people where it is, and apparently it's rusting somewhere. So we've got people searching for it, but there was two of them, one for 39A and one for 39B, and the rails are still there. A lot of it still exists, even with SpaceX in charge now. There's like the knuckle of this RSS still there at 39A. Can we put 39A up? I don't know if it's too hazy to see it.
it's basically the same fixed service structure. It's just they got rid of
Yeah,
the rotating service structure.
Right.
and they raised the this platform here. That's the launch escape system. They've moved it up the tower. I'm just waiting to see if Jay can put
And
the
obviously,
39A
don't-
SpaceX has moved up their crew
Here we go.
access arm too because
I
of the
don't wanna-
height of
I
Falcon.
don't want to put any pressure on you guys, but someone named Philip Sloss is in chat, so we better
Uh-oh.
be on our A game.
Oh,
We better be on
no.
our A game.
I'm
But
gonna get fact checked.
he mentioned that Challenger payload bay doors had a specific look when it was ferried in '82 for delivery. So the aerial shot that we were just showing would have been sometime after its first flight. Of course, Philip knows that.
We should get Philip on a Shuttle Sunday.
We
That'd be
should.
amazing.
Oh,
we
yes.
should.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. Philip, if you're up for that, we've definitely got to do one.
For our viewers who
Also-
may not know Philip's reputation, how would you describe?
Oh my word, expert level 100.
Yeah.
There is no higher level. I would also say this is a good point actually because I did see one person who was former NASA and he was in the YouTube comments and he corrected me on one point on a previous Shuttle Sunday. I love stuff like that. Do not be afraid to correct me. I love Shuttle. I would claim to know a fair bit about it, but I am not an expert. The people who worked on the Space Shuttle Orbiter are the people who've talked to me, and that's where I've gained my knowledge. So you'll always be welcome to correct me on anything. I would absolutely love that, and I'd probably learn a lot from it as well. So it's happy days when I get corrections. Please do not be afraid to do that, especially if you worked on a program. Okay, let's move further through. By the way, sorry, we're talking about 39A. I'll quickly go back to that picture there because you can see the fixed service structure is the same, but they've raised the launch escape terminals, I think we call it, where they got the slide wires, which go slide by baskets, which go down to the bunker. But you can actually see it's just literally they're taking the RSS off. You can literally see where they've demolished it and taken it off. SpaceX done a great job, by the way, modifying that. They've done a really great job. But you'll see the lightning pole is the same. You can see it in the two pictures there. In fact, can I zoom now? I'll go on another picture and show it. But it's really cool. This is training. This is basically pre-STS-7. This is the preparations for the flight. This is Sally Ride in the simulator at JSC, I would assume. And they're in the aft of the flight deck there. The aft is where they control things like the remote I can't say it, remote manipulator system.
Hey,
There
you
we
did
go.
it. Good job.
Oh my
Yay!
word! I put my teeth back in. Wow.
Yeah.
What the heck, Chris? There we go. But it's really cool because that's the aft windows. People look at the space shuttle orbiter, and of course the payload bay doors are closed. They don't see the aft of the flight deck, so that is an aft view there. When the payload bay doors are open, you will be able to, if you looked into the payload bay, you'll be able to see the aft windows, and that's how it works.
Also,
Cool.
while we were talking about 39A, we can continue with that, but I've got a cool picture that we can show from uh, the part in between Shuttle and Falcon, basically, to kind of see where they started demolishing that. I'll drop it in Control
Oh, are
Center
you going
for
to mess
Jay.
up my OBS because I've got everything windowed out here?
Can I
I will
can I
try at the end.
can I just take a moment to be amused that in this crew picture, the shuttle is like its head is peeking up
Yes,
like it's also one of the crew. Like,
yes.
Yep, member 6.
It, that's why I brought it in because I thought, well, all the crew photographs. This is a real cool one. It's like the crew have all lined up on the seats and challengers at the back going, "Hello, I'm here too."
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah. Also, the blue flight suits, Sawyer. Still
Yep.
in the old blue flight suits. My word. I am going to try and bring up this photograph. I might mess things up here, so don't worry if we do. I can fix it. He says confidently. 1 second. Let me do this, and I'll do that, and I'm going to copy it across, and then hopefully this doesn't go wrong.
this
I have
is
to save it.
riveting.
Oh
This is
no.
riveting podcasting slash
Yeah, this
YouTubing.
this might no, sorry, it won't work.
It's all
I
right.
will find a way when I'm playing a video to try and save it across and then push it across, and then we'll show it later because interesting the way they've worked. Oh, that is an amazing photograph, by the way, where they're basically demolishing the RSS, and it's
Yep.
already SpaceX there waiting to launch rockets. That is great. There's another crew training picture. Again, I would assume it's at JSC. I'm very nervous because Phillips Lawson is in chat and he'll know. He's probably visited it as well. But yeah, they had pretty much a shuttle at JSC, literally a shuttle, and it was like just there for the training purposes, and it was very much a mock-up of it.
Hmm.
That looks like the simulator. This is referenced on the launch video I'm going to be showing shortly, where they talk about the simulator was mimicking what they should expect during launch, and that the launch was actually less than the simulator. So how much they were shaking around in the simulator is going to be really interesting. No food or smoking. You can tell it's the 80s.
Yep. But yeah, no, that thing was a pretty decent size too. I got to see where it was at Houston. It was quite the beast to get that full size scale there. And from what I could see, I mean, it was pretty darn accurate.
I love these photos. These are from the 80s, and they do look like they've been taken just yesterday. They're really good photographs. I mean, Jackson. I mean, Sawyer, you take photographs as well. That's right, you both photo people. I'll go back to that picture. Hang on 1 second. I mean, that's a decent picture, isn't it? I
Absolutely.
know you've got fancy cameras and stuff nowadays, but also it's just. I think it's the attitude you get across. You know, Sally's taking things in there. It's like they could have probably taken about 10 pictures there where she's
Right.
grinning and smiling, but they've taken that one and published that one where she's deep in thought. It's very clever how it all works with you photo people, where you get the right kind of like atmosphere in a photograph. This is a render back in the days where the renders were drawings, literally drew it, but this was representing what STS-7 was going to be about. And this is pretty much when the shuttle's operational. Remember, we took the last shuttle Sunday was where the space shuttle became operational after the first 4 test flights with Columbia. So this is where shuttle is now trying to earn its way by doing its payloads and what have you, and more
And
training again.
I was just gonna say, it looked like the SPAS payload that flew on STS-7, which we could talk about once we get to orbit.
We have videos, Sawyer. We have
Yes.
lots of content from the mission parts. In fact, the mission I've got. By the way, people in the background want to know how we're doing it. I've got folders of. I just dragged everything out of L2 and I just went. I thought, oh my word, we've got like hundreds of photographs here. We have. I've got sections. I'm still in the prep folder. We'll get to the launch folder, and then the mission folder is by far the busiest folder on my drive right now. It is full of stuff. They did a lot on that mission. But I like this because, correct me if I'm wrong, Sawyer, but they had to train for EVAs because it wasn't an EVA mission, was it? It was something where if they had a problem, such as not being able to close the payload bay doors before re-entry, they'd have to do an EVA, wouldn't they?
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Those payload bay doors must be closed and locked before reentry for the risk of heat getting in. They also have to be open so that the radiators can get out. Plus, in this case, when you had two satellites to deploy, you also had multiple different pallets that were located there. You had the ability to get outside if needed to do repairs or make mission critical changes to be able to return safely.
Nice. By the way, I was talking about folders. What I'm planning to do is I'll go through the preps folder. I'm nearly finished with it, and then we'll go to questions. So we'll keep it interactive. So people are doing. I see questions coming in. Don't think we're ignoring them and just chatting. We will come to questions. We'll do like 3 or 4 little stops and then do the quick Q&As and keep coming back to the pictures and videos because there's so much content here. I was right to think we should only do STS-7 because there's no way we'd have done STS-8 as well within the hour. No chance at all. We're still on preps here. Look at that. That's like a high school photograph of Sally Ride. It's like really, that's probably when she was first selected. Look at the white orbiter behind her as well. I bet that was
Yeah,
pre-80.
with the giant RCC nose cone.
Just gonna say the nose cone, yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely like probably when maybe astronaut class. I've got a date on this picture, but I'm thinking maybe astronaut class where she's
Yeah, I
being
mean,
selected. Yeah.
that was class of 78. It sounds like it should be from a high school as opposed to astronaut class of 78. Which,
But
fun fact, this mission had the first ever crew members from the astronaut class of 1978. And there were 3 of them, including Sally.
Nice.
talking about these pictures, Chris,
Yep.
that is probably my favorite part about doing the shuttle Sundays is, one, just talking through the missions so that I can anchor in my head, what each one was about versus, because I've read wiki and I've listened to various books and, I've read some things and I lived through part of it. But it's really interesting to go back and look at these pictures, which are so evidently like from the time that they were taken, and they're all so good. Like you said, it's really enjoyable to sort of get to go back in time via this imagery, and also kind of spooky to think about somebody doing this in like 100 years, on whatever future version of NSF, and we're all long gone, and they're using our imagery of Starbase today. So
No.
so
Oh
SN
yes.
so SN8 was pretty crazy.
Oh no, you know what? That is something. No, I'm very big on that. I love the forum because the forum I still see. I'm the only person who can see it, by the way, for anyone's freaked out. I can see where people are looking, and when I'm doing like just like admin stuff, and I'm looking at who's online or whatever, I can see where those are people looking, and sometimes I'll see like someone looking on like STS 129 flight day 5 going through our screenshots from NASA TV live at the time, doing the basically live updates. This is before Twitter was around and things like that. So we do it on the forum, and we might get that in decades to come, where someone will take photographs from our X feed or from our videos or whatever, and go, "Well, this is how Starship started. I'm posting these tweets from Mars Base Alpha." It's like you're really crazy if you think about that, because the internet isn't going to go anywhere. You think anytime soon. So while it's on the internet, it's immortalized as such, and I love that. And thanks,
Yeah.
Jack, for taking that, because it allowed me to switch folders, which is a bit of a complicated task for a stupid person like me.
I was gonna say, I was talking with you about this for a video coming out on Thursday about the NASA TV Flight Day highlight videos that they did for the later part of the program from like 2006 onward, and it just it slaps. I can't wait till people down the line watch back our intros and go, man, that slaps.
It slaps. I'm going to start using that in everyday conversation. I'm already using Daz's good grief. I'm
Sawyer,
also using rad.
Sawyer, is that on God? Like no cap?
Wrong.
I did promise that I would go to the chat after each section, so I'm going to move on to the launch section. But first of all, I'm going to thank some people. Wow, we don't do these for super chats. It's like Raptorcides. We just basically want to just talk to you all for a bit because it's nice. Turn the microphones on rather than just in chat. Faith became a flight engineer member. That is our top level. So that's amazing, Faith. Thank you very much for your support, and you get all the perks, including your name on the end of NSF Live, and it's like everything. You get the whole caboose. So well done, and thank you for your support. That is a massive support, by the way. Lars Elbrom has gifted Red Team membership. I love gifting memberships because they allow people who may be big fans of our channel but don't have disposable income, like most people don't have, would like to be a member but just can't afford it. I've become a member for free for a month. Because it should work the way it works with YouTube's computers, that if you're someone who's around us all the time and you're in chat, they're the people who are top of the queue to get gifted that membership. So that's really cool. And speaking of which, RC Horseman gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much for your support. I see your name all the time. Apocalypse Cow, another name I see all the time, has gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Danger Moo, as I like to call him. Westy the Third, amazing. Oh, these are names I recognise all the time. Gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Westy. You've even got your own command in chat. I know, because we use it all the time.
When did Danger Moo start? I mean, I know Apocalypse Cow. They've been around forever, but only recently have I heard you calling them Danger Moo, which I love for the record.
Yeah, I do it on Raptor sides. Apocalypse Cow is one of our regular supporters and people we know.
Right.
I was thinking Apocalypse Cow would be a Danger Moo.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
The Moo and the Raptor sides would do the Moo from McGregor, so it's kind of like Apocalypse Cow's Danger Moo. Anyway, yeah, it's probably just my stupid mind. Eric asks, Chris B, did you contribute to Scott Kelly's book? Now, can you tell me, because I've not seen it yet, if we're crediting there? Because I do know Scott Kelly used NSF for research. We got him into L2 because he was looking at some old missions and stuff. So maybe we're crediting the book. That's really nice if he's done that. That'd be really cool. Speaking of which, Scott Kelly was on the recent Two Funny Astronauts where we live streamed the recording of that show with Mike Massimino and Garrett Reisman. So the next one should be coming up not before too long. So that'd be cool. Yeah,
and they're great if you haven't seen them.
They really are a riot. The last one we did, Scott Kelly was talking about the gorilla suit on the ISS incident, and I was dying. I was actually like I'm so all about Two Funny Astronauts. I'm so glad we're doing that.
We also have a slightly more risque short, I believe, that was made. I don't know if it ever got posted, of a joke that was made during it, which was absolutely hysterical. I mean, they're Two Funny Astronauts, but it's the title is deserved.
I've still got people to thank. William Williams, which is crazy because like normally you think 2 or 3 people get it done, move on. Nope, got still more to go. William Williams, great name by the way, has become a Patreon member. Welcome. Your name is Green. Dan Elgon has gifted a Red Team membership. So if you got a Red Team membership gifted to you, just say thanks in chat because there's literally like only a few hundred people in here right now. So it's a good chance you probably got gifted. And that's really cool. So much appreciated. Kanan Copeland, you said you want to commentate on a Shuttle like it's live. Why not do that for each of them each week? Oh, right. Well, we are going to do that. We're going to pick which one because the idea would be to have enough resources, especially decent quality video because the older missions are quite old quality video. So I'm thinking more of a recent mission where we've got a lot of the content to be able to pretend we were live streaming it and then commentate over it. But that is a plan. I'm thinking STS-93 just because it's fun in a kind of like, oh my goodness way, but without a disaster, so we can have fun with it. So that's a good thing. I heard Sawyer sigh. Was that
no?
You
That was an
Sawyer?
ooh.
Oh right, but I think it was
ooh.
I thought you were like a pensive. Oh, it was like that.
I mean, the history with that one with Chandra and Eileen Collins. Oh yeah, no, yes.
Eric says we are credited in the book. That's amazing. I'm going to send him a thank you email. That's cool. I've not got a book yet. It's not been published in the UK yet. I'm going to have to find a way of getting the book because that is really nice. Because we helped him, and I didn't ask for any credit or anything like that. I said, yeah, of course we'll help you. So we got him in 12-2, and like, so that's really, really awesome that he's actually credited with even us asking. That is really cool. It just shows what astronauts are like. They're all cool people.
So I should mention that I'm also in a book written by June
Sawyer
Scobie
Flex.
Rogers.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on. We need a theme tune. Sawyer Flex.
Yeah. Do we have a sound effect for the Sawyer?
Oh, don't worry. There's more flexes coming later. But
oh my word.
But yeah, no, that was June Scobie Rogers, who was the wife of Dick Scobie from 51L. When she republished her book, 25 years after, I think it was, or 30 years after, they had additional stories from people that were associated with the Challenger centers, which were created following the disaster. And I was asked to write a little section for the book, so I did.
I just realised being left on the same picture for like 10 minutes. I'm going to move the pictures on. We will talk about the launch because
Ooh,
I've got a nice little
launch.
video as well. But this is a beautiful photograph to just do while I'm taking more questions, because I did promise we're going to take questions from this. So I'm going to make sure that each section we just hold back and do the questions. But Joe Pimple asks, consider interviewing the 8th member of the Challenger crew, Barbara Morgan, who trained with Krista McAuliffe and the crew as backup. She later flew on mission specialist on STS-118. Absolutely. If there's a chance we can get to talk to Barbara Morgan, I am all over that. There is so many iconic things and positive things, by the way. I know there's a lot of relation to the disaster, but there's a lot of positive things we can speak to Barbara about. So I will maybe ask Mike Massimino and Garrett Reisman if he's got like a contact to
If
see if she'd
not,
be willing.
I might as well, so I can also dig around for that, which she's really nice, by the way, so definitely would be great to have her on.
Sawyer Flex.
Yes, I've met her. She's one of my 100+ astronauts that I've met.
We definitely
Flex.
need
We need a sound
we need a
effect.
sound effect. Yeah, we do, don't we?
Kevin said he's working on it.
Oh my word!
It's gotta literally be like a bodybuilder or like a someone in the gym just being like, "Urgh." Like it's got to be a flexing sound. Like
Yes.
I don't know what sound we would use, but yeah, maybe the chopsticks squeaking. I don't know.
That's a big flex. DA Swanson asks, are these pictures available to download? That's almost like DA Swanson knows exactly what I'm going to say now. Yes, I have taken all these pictures, and still not all of them, from our L2 section. Now, the L2 shuttle history sections, we've got basically photographs which have been either revamped. Harry Stranger did some amazing work with the Slick 6 shuttle photographs because they were not brilliant quality, but he enhanced them. That's one example. We've also got photographs from each mission where people have found photographs, usually working on the space shuttle program, in their loft, and I've got a few examples of that. And then we've digitalized them and put them into L2, and that's one way of saving them for history, but also it's really cool to add to our collection. There's things that have been on public, such as NASA.gov, but have since vanished from the annals of history. I give examples such as construction photographs. They're very hard to find, but we've got lots of those saved in L2. So everything's in L2, basically. Everything I'm showing, I've just grabbed out of L2. It doesn't mean if you see a picture like this and you go, hang on a minute, I've seen that out on the internet. Yeah, there will be examples of that, but L2 has like a massive collection. So it collects everything in one place, and it's really cool. There we go, moving quickly on. So we're going to move on to the launch part. I've seen more questions, but they're talking about the mission itself. We've got a section on the mission itself coming up. Let's go through some cool launch photographs. Here we go. I think we'll start with that one. We've got this one here. I'm going to be out of order, but it doesn't matter. That is a beautiful photograph. I'm going to enhance.
Yes, that's
Is that a bit of
gorgeous.
lens flare? Bit of lens flare there. Look at that.
Yeah.
Really cool. Because remember, the fun thing people don't realize, and they will from SLS, but the SRBs are so bright. Sawyer flex time. How bright are the SRBs?
I don't know how to explain it other than how we see night launches that turn night into day with Falcon. These blow out the night sky to the point where you are literally blinded for a second or two by the SRBs.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And there is the lightning pole that still exists to this day. You're looking at it on the right-hand side of the screen right now. That's 39 on the right-hand side of the screen live. With the transport rector up as well, by the way. Live, and that is the same pole. This lightning protection pole. Really cool.
Yeah,
And
but
of
no
course,
beanie cap.
no, I was just looking at that ironically as you were talking about it. That's amazing. It's still not in that configuration yet, is it? You've
No.
got the kind of like gaseous hood thing there, but it's not what we expect. It's not what we're used to, is it, Sawyer? We're more kind of like the latter missions. So looking back on these old photographs are kind of cool because you get an idea of what it was like then. But yeah, it was not the same. That's a different enhanced version of it. That's cool. That shows how they can be enhanced, the photographs, to make them look even
Enhance.
better. Enhance. A lovely photograph there. We've got some aerial photographs here somewhere. One second.
Buddy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it was WB-57 in the
Yes.
early times, but it was definitely from a high-altitude plane. So that is really cool.
I feel like that could have been a T-38. What zoom all the way out? Is the Do we
Oh,
see curvature? No, we don't see curvature. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're definitely up there, but I wouldn't think that has to be a WB-57. But that is just absolutely gorgeous.
how about that one?
Oh.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It's
It
kind of
really
fun that
is. It
I've got the
really is
3
cool.
seconds when I'm showing it before everyone else sees it.
It's like you're like you press the
Yeah.
button and wait for reaction. It really is cool seeing the launch imagery in particular, or any of this imagery like we were talking about, especially because we see so much cool imagery from everybody today that's out there working at the Cape, and a lot of times you don't realize like all of this stuff, every photograph that you've seen from any Cape photographer, or at least the vast majority of them, there are versions of that photograph going back into history for all sorts of different vehicles, whether it's Saturn or Shuttle or Titan or something. Like, it's just cool. It's really neat to see this time continuum in picture form.
And keep in mind, everything was shot on film. All the remote
Right.
cameras that we're so
Yeah.
used to doing with the digital and the electronic triggers and being able
Right.
to just pop the card out, every single one of these is film camera. And I
Yeah.
mean, first off, I think it makes a sharper quality with using film, but just that much more. You've got 32 shots in a roll and you got to use them wisely.
Also cool is they did recover the boosters. People go, wow, SpaceX, first time they've not just left them sink to the bottom of the ocean. Actually, the SRBs were recovered by Freedom Star and Liberty Star, the recovery boats. But the fun thing is, it was not the same as what SpaceX does because they were then taken apart, casing by casing, and they were used mainly. The main reason for bringing them back was they could investigate them in a post-flight scenario so they could learn from how they performed rather than some crazy we're going to save money by reusing them. There was not much money saving going on back in the days of the space shuttle program, a bit like SLS to be fair, but it really is a case of it was post-flight. The reason why they brought them back was post-flight investigations. But it's a nice little photograph there. I've got a
And
video now. Sorry, before
I
I
was gonna
start
say
the
it's
video
also
out.
interesting
Yep.
that they some of those segments from these boosters from Shuttle have flown on SLS. And I
Yes.
mean, yeah, the number of random missions that will create up one 4 or 5 segment booster, I mean, it could be from all 5 different orbiters, even in later days after Challenger and Columbia.
Now we've got lots of launch videos. There's lots of launch videos out there on YouTube land of shuttle launches, and there's one for STS-7. It's not brilliant quality. It's NASA TV talking over it. I like the mission report versions of them, where the actual astronauts are talking about their mission itself, and they talk about the launch. I find that probably more inclined to be fascinating to the viewers. So I'm going to play a clip from that very thing here, and I've learned now to press mute on my microphone so you don't get an echo. Ready? Let's play the video and hopefully this works.
The launch was pretty much like all launches.
Keep saying that.
Well, since you started, Sally, why don't you tell what it felt like there?
Well, actually, I was pleasantly surprised because I thought that the simulator really prepared us well for it. We have a motion-based simulator.
Hey.
Yay for the simulator that simulates what you're supposed to feel on launch. It gives you the vibration and a lot of the shaking that you get during first stage. And I thought it was very representative. All the way up through SRB separation. It simulated the tail off, the deceleration that you get at the separation of the solids. And it also simulated very well the really smooth ride that you get during second stage on just the main engines. And I guess that we've all commented that that part of the ride is just like having a big electric motor behind you. It's that smooth, really smooth.
From my standpoint, being my second flight on the shuttle, it seemed like it was much smoother. That's probably because I wasn't nearly as excited. Maybe I was a little bit calmer this time.
Really cool. I love the way, you'll hear the landing part is the best one. The interaction between the crew. They obviously train together for a long time and they become like family. And you can just see how they're bouncing off each other. It's really cool because there's some fun things in the landing video, which I'll show you. But that is the launch itself. We can now move on to the mission, which is the big folder, because there's a lot going on here. I'm going to try and play these in some kind of order, but I think you'll find they might be slightly out of order because of the amount of things going on. But the video I've got to play at the end of the pictures will tell the story in more of a timeline approach. So it's really cool here. So I'm going to start bringing up these pictures here. Here we go. So this is one of the payloads. Sorry, do you want to talk about the payloads while I make my folder work?
Yeah, I mean, so there was a couple different types of payloads. There was
Yeah.
SPAS, which we were talking about, the Shuttle Pallet Satellite, which was in cooperation with a German company that I'm not going to try and pronounce, um, that they would basically grab it with the robotic arm, let it free float for a bit, and then grab it back with the arm. They even did some experiments with this one where they had it grappled with the robotic arm and fired the OMS engines too. But it was a really cool way to get some free floating experience and also, more importantly, get experience with the robotic arm of grappling and ungrappling, as well as practice with rendezvous and in orbit maneuvers, as well as station keeping with it. So they did some maneuvering around it, in addition to the experiments that were inside of it. Plus, you had a whole bunch of other pallets that were just inside of the shuttle's payload bay for this one too, including one that it contained an entire colony of ants to see how they did.
Yeah, I think we're going to come across a lot of those internal views, which shows the payload rack. It's kind of a weird looking rack as well, where Sally was pretty much in charge of it as well, because Sally Ray was introducing it at some point. There's one of the satellites being launched. We've got a video of it spinning up and being launched. You can see on the bottom of the payload of the actual satellite itself, it's got like a PAM, little payload assist module. And that's how they did it. They literally popped them out of the space shuttle cargo bay at low Earth orbit. And these might be geostationary orbits, but that's where they used it, the motor on the aft end, to boost it like a final stage into its respective orbit, which was kind of cool. It was very different for the era, different to what it is now. If you think about that, maybe think of a rocket lab launch where they separate and they go to the kick stage. The kick stage is literally that on the bottom of the satellite right now there.
Yep, it's called PAM-D, which is Payload Assist Module D.
There we go. Very good. Let's keep going through. I've got loads of photographs. I literally just took ones which I found cool. But that is how you slept on the space shuttle. It was a little like bag. Because remember, you're in weightlessness. A lot of astronauts have talked about how comfortable it is to sleep in 0G because you're just basically floating. And as long as you got your little restraint so you don't float away anywhere and bump into other people, you're quite comfortable.
Who was it on? Was it STS? Oh, it was one of the ones we've already done. Somebody slept with like not in their bags. They were just like sort of floating around. It's like periodically at night you might wake up to them bumping into you, and then you just like sort of push them away across the cabin.
A couple of the astronauts I've talked to, what they would end up doing is they would move their sleeping bag up to basically the commander's seat and just fall asleep looking out the window of the shuttle.
There we go. Westy the Third, and we are coming on to the mission section, so I'll ask this question now. Westy the Third asks, is STS-7 the first use of an arm with a payload, I would say, was Westy asking there? Because you're right, because it wasn't the first use of the SRMS, as they called it, but for a payload, it's interesting because we'll see in the video, they use things like the end effector, the capturing a payload, the releasing the payload. It is a lot of experiments on there. Sorry, it was the first real proper operational use of the arm, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, they've used it, they've manipulated it, moved it around, but that's why, in particular, with that SPAS experiment, they actually made a deal with the people that designed it of, hey, if you let us mess around with it and test our robot arm, we'll actually make it cheaper for you to put your satellite on board the shuttle. And so that was part of the deal, was they could launch it cheaper, allowing them to then grapple it, ungrapple, move it around, and test the RMS with an actual payload.
Yep. And now you can see the arm attached to the payload itself there. There's amazing thing because there's actually a camera on there. So you get to see almost like a selfie of the space shuttle. And there's some wonderful footage. And what an old video as well. I thought it was really good quality footage from the camera on this payload looking back at the orbiter which I think was a very rare thing for him to see. By the way, I just want to mention I love this picture. This is probably one of the iconic pictures of Sally Ride in space. I mean, you can imagine not only being a pioneer, but just enjoying finally getting to do what you've been trained to do. There's lots of emotions in that picture for me, so I really like it. We're moving quickly on here. We got some more pictures of the payload being on the end of the SRMS. I keep wanting to say SSRMS. Do you want to know why? Because that's what the space shuttle's robotic arm is called.
The
And
space
that's what I'm used to
station.
writing about. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, there's there's the space station remote manipulator system and the shuttle remote manipulator system. So not confusing at all.
Not confusing at all. Lots of pictures. You'll see in the video of this where they're showing what they're doing. But there's one of the it's not really a selfie, is it? Let's face it. It's just basically a picture from the payload looking back at Challenger. The
Amazing.
quality of that, though. This is from like a payload. You think you're not going to put like a fancy camera on the payload, but they did. And you get some really beautiful pictures here. You can see the
Absolutely.
arm there. You can see the payload bay there. You can see where the two payloads were deployed from. The two satellites, I should say. They had little carriers. They would open up like doors, and then they'd spin up the payload and then release the payload. But I've got a video of that as well. Beautiful picture of Challenger in orbit there. Again, it's sad because the two shuttles we've been covering on these early Space Shuttle Sundays is being the two orbits we've lost, which is really sad. We do move on to Discovery, Endeavour, and Atlantis as we progress through Shuttle Sundays.
Atlantis best shuttle.
Yeah. True, actually.
Hey.
That's actually a fact. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
just no.
Oh, this one's really beautiful. Just
Isn't it?
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So okay, wait. I have a question.
Go.
Is this a digital image or a film image?
Oh, now I don't know. Now
I mean, I
Looks like a
assume it's
scan
digital.
of a film.
Okay, but like, what is there a film processing thing on this payload? It's not a spy satellite. Like what?
No,
I'm
but they
very
recovered
curious.
it.
Okay, they recovered it. All right, well then
Yeah.
I bet you it's film. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
do
they
we
would.
capture it?
They released it basically. They left it, I believe, it was about 9-ish hours outside, either grappled or just free floating. I think that was about 5.5 hours of just floating and getting these kind of shots. And then they, again, as part of the practice, station kept with it, practice recapturing it and placing it back. And
So
a fun
cool.
little Easter egg. Do you notice the robotic arm and what position they left it in for these photos?
7.
Yep.
Nice.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of like after landing when they were, debriefing the mission, I think there was a bit of I don't know. It's one of those things that was not planned or like sanctioned officially by mission controllers, but the crew was like, "Well, we know we can do this and it's not going to break the arm or anything. It's not in the position the arm is supposed to do that we're like cleared to do, but it's one of those classic things. It's like the gorilla suit. It's like we know we're not going to break anything. We're going to have, a little bit of cheeky fun, a very, very small amount of well-earned fun, because when you work this hard, you deserve a little bit of, you deserve to work really hard at something that, brings a smile to your face as well. So I could be misremembering that a little bit, but I do remember, I forget if it's Bold Day Rise or Into the Black, but in one of those books they talk about, that's how I immediately knew it was a 7, Sawyer, is because it was one of those things where it's like, well, we're going to do it. NASA won't know. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. They might have
Yeah.
even done it when they were LOS for that reason.
And again, it looks like it could just be any old position, but yeah,
Right.
and it's practice using the RMS too is a way that they could kind of write it off. But they basically recreated the mission patch.
We've got
Oh, yeah. CB Spock in chat. You're awesome. They say in the book, Bold Day Rise, they mentioned Mission Control was not thrilled with the ARM in the 7 since it came close to ARM tolerances. Thank you, CB Spock. That's exactly what I was like vaguely remembering.
There's a great picture of Bob Crippen doing a workout on the space shuttle.
What
That
a
is
boss.
something they do on the ISS as well, by the way. They have to do it because they've got much better equipment, I must admit. But they do actually say that it was quite a good little treadmill that worked for them. I don't know if I could actually video clip that, but it was really cool.
Making me jealous looking good with the shirt off.
And it did look quite a bit of a man, didn't it? Yeah, a bit of a man. It's a bit like that GIF where they do the man, yeah. But lots of crew pictures here. There's a crew picture together. That's really cool as well.
Can you go back 1 sec to that photo?
One? That one?
There's the delay, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
Take a look at the shirt. That was the class of 78 astronauts, the
Nice.
TFNGs, which, depending on whether you go family friendly or not,
No,
had
no, it's
two different
35 new
meanings.
guys, right? It's 35 new guys. That's totally what it is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Officially, it's the 35 new guys,
It's
not
totally that.
the fire trucking new guys.
Can you imagine if we'd done STS-8 on this Shuttle Sunday, we'd be here for 3 hours. We're
No,
not even halfway. It's
I'm really glad
amazing.
though. I'm glad we did.
No, I'm
We,
true.
we
Yeah,
decided to
yeah.
make the call
Yeah.
to split it up because I do think we're at the point in these missions where each one needs its own segment.
Also,
Well,
it's weird having 3 guys mention this part as well, but this was the mission where prior to liftoff, they asked if 1,000 sanitary products would be enough for their planned
Right.
5-day mission.
Yeah, that's kind of
Wow.
like one of those famous, one of those famous space facts that you learn pretty early. And this is a pretty historic mission with Sally Ride's flight. So, yeah, that unfortunately happened.
Yeah, this
Someone
was
called.
20 years after Valentina Tereshkova's first flight, so
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Someone called Kevin Michael Reid in chat.
Uh-oh.
Asks, do ants float in space? Well, here's the payload device where Sally Ride was seen working on during the mission itself, and that's where I believe they kept the ants. I
Just
would have
hope they
thought
don't
they'd
get
do.
loose.
Yeah, well, they would float, wouldn't they?
If The
There's nothing.
Simpsons has told me anything, yes, they do.
Yeah, it's true. I might have a video to play, but I'm going to go past the video and just do more photographs. Here we go. Right, let's first do more sleeping pictures. There we go. These are more kind of like fun pictures the crew took. These are things that they would have taken back and shown the family. It's kind of cool. You see
Nice.
little Easter eggs like the mission. Look at that malfunction procedure book. Look at the size of it.
You don't want to use that book. You
You
really
don't
don't
want to
have
be
use
delving
that
into
book.
that. No. That is amazing. But again, it's still not the glass cockpit. It's still the old style shuttle cockpit with all the dials and knobs. When we move on to further missions where they change to the glass cockpit, you'll see it be more sci-fi, far more advanced. I still show people pictures of the glass cockpit orbiter all lit up, and people go, wow, that is so cool. It's not as cool as the Dragon touch screens or whatever. Yeah, I know, but that's the date of it. But back when it first came out, it must have been like sci-fi to people because it was really cool.
I kind of like all the switches and buttons, honestly. Like touchscreen, obviously more efficient and easier to use, but all the buttons, it's a look. It's a serious look. Also, why were there 3 calculators in that last shot?
Hang on, let's go back.
Redundancy.
That's what Matrix is asking. Yeah, yeah, there you go. It's a calculator, a backup calculator, and a backup calculator.
There we go. Oh my word, that is cool. Little Easter eggs. Oh no, you got me looking now, Jack. Come on.
If those are TI-83s, they might be able to serve as a shuttle main computer.
Well,
I
they
think they're
did say
pre-TI-83. Those may be 82s.
Now, did you mention something about was this a dual arms burn?
I'm not
Was it-
sure if it was single or dual, but yes, they did. One of the metallic material experiments that they were doing, part of the test was firing the ohms pods with it to see how they reacted.
There we go. Very cool.
Really
This
cool
is
shot.
actually should have gone in pre-launch, but this is cool. This interview there. You can see how by now the media are all taking attention because of Sally Ride flying on this mission. But you can see the background that the NASA presentation would have. Like, this is our mission. It's so simple. We
Right.
launch, we drop the external tank boosters, we go into space, we do the payload stuff, and we come back and land. Easy! Easy. Yeah, it's not easy. There's nothing easy about it. Again, more pictures of Sally. Because it deserves. That's a cool picture out of the that looks like is it? Yeah, I can't remember. I can't think what window that would be, but just shows how close it was during actual deploy, and that is mentioned in the video I'm about to show. That's why I want to show
What a
it, and that
cool
is literally
photo.
what using the thumbnail. Bob Crippen there. That is so cool as well. Such a guy.
Oh.
Pop quiz in chat.
Oh.
What's that a picture of?
Oh.
Name the location.
That.
The fun thing is I don't know the answer, so you can say anything. I'll go, what? Good guess.
Yeah, I
York.
do.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Somebody
in chat, Madagascar.
That's not
Apparently I'm hearing.
Madagascar.
No. Bald British dude. Eric.
That doesn't, Eric. It's not. You're not even
Come from?
trying now.
Well, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
bald British dude and bald American dude here, so I mean,
Well, I'll tell you what, these videos are recorded, so someone in the comment section watching this back can probably ID the location of this. And then we'll probably get an idea of it. There is a further shuttle mission deeper into the future where they take a picture of Boca Chica. They've got a picture of it, and it's look no sign of SpaceX by then, no sign, and it is just like beachfront properties and what have you. And it really is quite an old photograph, but it's kind of ironic that you can see the differences between now and then in the full circle of it becoming SpaceX. Sorry, I completely nicked it, Michael. You saying full circle? Lovely picture of Sally Ride there.
In
More lovely
all these
pictures of Sally Ride.
pictures, she just looks like simultaneously like she's working hard and also having an amazing time. And it's so cool to see.
By file organization, the last picture in this folder is of the shuttle toilet.
yes.
Thanks for that.
Yeah,
I-
that worked out very well.
I actually own a piece of shuttle toilet door, so I'm very proud of that.
We need the Sawyer Flex
We do.
ringtone thing, whatever it's called. I don't know what I'm talking about now. I'm going to move on to the video. I'm going to mute my microphone. 1 second. This is quite cool. This shows a lot of the mission part. The astronauts talking over it.
Going now, it spins at 50 revolutions per minute. And Sally and Crip had the best view of this, looking out the back window.
But it really is a nice vehicle to launch from every respect. Worked just like a champ.
And she's just about getting ready to pop here. There she goes. And as you can see, it's very clean, going right up the tail. And about 2 feet per second differential velocity between the satellite and the orbiter.
Get rotated, idiot.
And Crip was at the back window here and grabbed a 16-millimeter camera. As it went out of view there, he took this picture out the overhead window.
And you could watch it for a very long period of time. I don't know, Sally, how long do you think we had it in view?
I don't know. It was several minutes, though. We now have a contest to see who can identify the person on the treadmill.
Right.
It's Bob.
Hi, Bob.
The old CDR trying to get some exercise. That treadmill works very well from trying to simulate 1G again, but it's enough to, it's not exactly like running here on Earth, but it makes you work up a sweat and use your legs a little bit, which is what the intent is.
First release, I guess, and we've squeezed the trigger to release the end effector on the remote manipulator arm from the fixture on the spas and then pulling the arm back away from it.
Meanwhile, the nervous CDR was sitting there with his hands on the controls in case it started to diverge, and we went ahead and started separating from it. Actually, we were above it, or correction, below it with respect to the Earth, and that's what it looked like from the other direction. We're setting out about 200 feet at this time, and that's from a 16-millimeter camera that was located on the spas.
And now we'll see some from inside the cockpit.
Those are the forward RCS.
Sounds like you got a small war going on outside when you're doing proximity operations, because you do use those large jets a considerable amount. You'll see the approach that we're making for the grapple, and both vehicles were just about as stable as anybody could want them. And when you're flying a big machine like the orbiter, which is 200,000 pounds, you do it nice and slow, which is the way we made the approach. And John, you want to comment on your grapple here?
And here's the grapple to retrieve the spas after that first phase of proximity operations, and very manageable task done from inside the cockpit using hand controllers, and you can see very, very slight oscillations there, probably about a quarter inch in amplitude as we close in on the grapple fixture getting ready for the capture, and there it is.
This is starting of the second portion of ProxOps. So we had lunch after the first day. We put after first phase, Sally and John had put the spas in a sun-shielded attitude because it had been warming up during the early portion. And spas here is still on the end of the arm, and Sally's maneuvering it back out to its release position. And what you're seeing is the spas TV as she maneuvered it to the position.
Realised I come to the end of the video before I could press pause. Never mind.
Yeah.
You can tell that's actually recorded from a VHS tape, can't you, as well? You got little tracking errors and stuff like that, but it's just important to immortalise these digitally because otherwise we'd lost forever, and that's not what you want. So we're going to come on to the landing part now. This is a cool photograph. It's actually in a video, but again, the video doesn't show any video of it, just again, still photographs. They eventually started taking video of re-entry, and now we've got a lot in L2, full ones, like 2 hours long from deorbit burn. All the way through to post-landing operations just from a camcorder on board. And they are our favourite videos because they're so cool. You see all the sparks and you see all the plasma and you see everything. It's a heck of an environment. It really is. And they're drinking salt water and saline and whatever, all this sort of stuff just so they can cope with the re-entry part of it. But it is quite smooth for re-entry on the space shuttle, I must admit, compared to the capsules, which are right rocketed around in the under the parachutes and what have you. So it had its charms of coming back on a space plane, that it was a lot smoother. And you'll see lots of pictures here where I'm going to go through the landing part here. I'm going to try and up in some kind of order here. Beautiful picture of Challenger there, coming back in for landing. There we go.
Which it was
Touchdown.
originally supposed to be the first landing at the Cape,
That's right. Yeah.
but weather delayed it, and so they ended up moving it to Edwards.
Again, beautiful photographs. I'm going to zoom in on this one. You can see, you literally can see into the cockpit here. That is amazing. Really nice picture. And there's touchdown. You got nice little. You really see on the video. Actually, I've got a video to show you the way it really sprays up the sand at Edwards. Nice little post landing picture there. Look at the old van. Give you an era. There's the era. Where's EJ when you need him? He'd be like, yeah, start say 1979 model, but that was.
Even the thing that goes up to the door for where the crew gets out ended up being a lot larger later in the program. It's just like a
Yeah.
little, air stairs with a tiny box on it.
Very cool. Got this picture here. I think that's the fan. They had a little fan. Ironically, that's on the side for some reason. I wonder if it's been pre-deployed because I've always seen post-shuttle landings where the fan is the first thing to arrive and it would go at the front here where that van is, and it would basically be used to blow away any toxic fumes that may still exist from the APUs, I think, but away from basically the crew that was going to come and take the crew out of the orbiter itself as well, the shuttle convoy crew, I should say. Lots of shuttle convoy stuff we can talk about in the future as well, which is really cool. But that is the landing stuff. I've got a landing video. It's pretty much one of the last things I'm going to show, apart from one other thing I want to show as well, which is kind of a lessons learned thing. But I'm going to take some more questions first of all, because I think it's really cool. Matrix asks, would you all consider doing a mass tech system like Boca Chica Beach to let people know when you're going to go live with commentary across these channels? I keep missing Shuttle Sunday, lols. We don't want to spam it. We always try and do it that we don't, get annoying with our we're live, what have you. And these are more relaxed. We don't do a tweet saying we're going to do a rapid side chat, things like it's that kind of level of thing as far as notifications. But we do record these, so they will go onto the channel afterwards if you missed it. But if it's live, I guarantee you will stay at a fixed time, which is 2 p.m. Central Time if you're a Starbase kind of a person, or 3 p.m. Eastern Time if you're a Space Coast kind of person, the best coast. Sorry, Jack. But
Yes.
it's kind of it's something we try and do regularly. I think we'll try and do it as many Sundays as possible, unless there's like a Starlink launch, something going on like that. And it's been quite lucky recently that we don't have a Starlink in the way, which is kind of rare because they're launching left, right, and center. But we will try and do it as regularly as we can so people know to check out that we will have a pinned comment or something like that in Space Coast Live, giving you an idea when we're going to go live with a Shuttle Sunday and things like that. Eric says, when Chris B facecam? I used to do NSF Live quite a lot. So I've not hidden my face. There's no wow, really? Surprise if you do see my face. I'm the most ordinary looking bloke you could come across. So there's no real need for that. It's not surprise we're going to see someone with shoulder length hair like Alex. It's nothing. It's a bald Yorkshire bloke, middle aged. There we go. That's all you need.
You got a big face tattoo, right? Like Mike Tyson?
Yeah, like some gangster.
And about 10 piercings. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Yeah. No, I'm boring. There's nothing you're not missing anything there. Jason Edry is gifted 5 rated membership.
Chris
Thank you
goes
so
on
much.
face cam for the first time in forever, and instead of a little tear below his eye, it's a very tiny shuttle where a tear would go.
No, I'd probably have to troll myself by putting on a wig. I just put on this massive pink wig or something, and Adrian will go, "Wow, I like your style." But it's like, no, I'm going to rabbit hole here. Let's not. But yeah, let's play a video instead, rather than listen to me rattling on, because this video is cool. This one's quite long, longish, about 3 minutes, but it's really, really cool because the crew come into their own now. It's the end of their press conference where they're giving a review of their mission, and they start joking around quite a lot, which is really kind of like something I really like. So this is one of the last thing. I've got something else to show after this, but this is one of the last. This is the last video I'm going to show.
This is actually a still shot that was taken during entry by John, and he did a super job of capturing what it looks like outside the windows. That's just about the perfect color of the globe.
Wow.
We spent most of the time in the darkness during entry. The vehicle had no surprises. It flew just like we anticipated it would. Our cross range for the entry we flew was a little over 730 miles, nautical miles, which is the max that a shuttle has done thus far. We did end up deleting some entry maneuvers because of that cross range, but we picked up the most important ones. This is showing us coming in over the heading alignment circle. I took manual control just about the time we were overhead Edwards flying manually. This is a camera that was mounted over my left shoulder because they said they wanted some shots of what it looks like in the cockpit. Shows you what it looks like out of Rick's window. The vehicle is super from a pilot standpoint. We had a heads-up display mounted in both Rick's and my windows that we were utilizing, and it allowed us to control our management energy just like we wanted it to. That shows the aim point that we're using for the landing, which is just this side of the leg bed. It's a rectangle, not the triangle you're seeing. And going into the pre-flare maneuver, we had a bar of lights sitting down to the left of the runway we also used as a visual aid. Rick put down the gear at 200 feet, which is where we'd planned. And like most way I like to fly when I'm over a lake bed is I like to get down low fairly fast and then just kind of hold it there till it gets down to the proper airspeed. It was just like flying our shuttle training aircraft. As far as I was concerned, it handled very nice. We waited till we touched down about 205 knots, and we waited 180, and we derotated to get the nose down the deck, and we basically used light braking, hardly any braking at all.
The touchdown was so light that John and I wanted to call the convoy to find out whether we had touched.
Right. I had a pair to say that.
I got some coming too.
Okay.
That was
Even though we were using light braking, the total runway utilized was, I believe, something around 13,000 feet, which would have meant if we'd been landing on a 15,000 foot runway, I would have still had no problem getting stopped. It is still a super machine. There really is. Even managed to get back to the center line of the runway after I had to roll all that way.
You can tell by the shadow behind the orbiter how early it was in the morning at Edwards. Of course, a lot of you know that because getting up so early.
Really cool. Really cool. It's nice angles as well. They've edited together as well, the post-flight presentation. It's a lot better than just showing like the live view of the landing because you don't get to see the onboards. You don't get to see things like where they're off the center line and they bring it back to center line. You don't get to the astronauts talking about it as well, which is really cool. So I really like that. I've got to quickly show something which is a lesson learned. A lot of these missions, they found things that they should have been concerned with, but they weren't concerned with. People keep asking me, why was STS-107 not considered a big issue because of the firm loss? There was a big firm loss on STS-7. I'm going to show the pictures in cycle here because it's almost like a movie. This is post separation of the external tank, and they take photography. They always have. Do anybody see what's wrong here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, there was a big loss
Big
of
white
firm.
area.
Yeah, big loss of firm around the bipod area, and that is what area liberated during STS-107 and hit the wing of Columbia, and that's what caused the loss of the vehicle. And they were having it back in that day. I mean, look at the state of the tank. I mean, I've seen post-external tank separation photographs from later missions, and you may see the odd speck would have lost some firm. Nothing dramatic, nothing drastic. And of course, it's when you lose the firm. You can lose it late in the ascent, and it's not going to have the aerodynamic force to hit the orbiter with any damaging effect. But during the first minute or so, first 2 minutes, that is when you don't want a big chunk of foam coming off and hitting the orbiter, because that's going to be hitting at a velocity that causes the force to potentially cause damage. We can go into that in depth at a later date, but that was something interesting I found. I've got another photograph here.
Yeah,
somewhere as well.
wait. Before you switch, so
Yeah.
the that tube with the white on, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That we're not like they did lose foam on what is that? A transfer tube or a downcomer or something? I forget what they call it on Shuttle. Is it a downcomer? Oh God.
um,
Philip?
Go ahead.
Sorry, you do it because I'm going to laugh otherwise.
You what?
No, because on the Starship, we're going down a rabbit hole here. Starship, it's now called a transfer tube, but I like calling it a downcomer. It's not. It's now a transfer tube, isn't it, Jack? But no, that's not the biggest area of concern. The biggest area of concern is this bipod here.
Right.
That is
That's
where the front of the orbiter would be attached to the external tank.
Thanks.
And
that's what I was getting at. That's the bipod ramp, and that little white patch that the arrow is pointing to is the area where they lost foam, which is the same area where they repeatedly lost foam and eventually catastrophically so.
That's right. But I think that brings us up to date. I've got a few more things I should read out. First of all, Richard Carver has identified where that photograph of the orbital photograph was taken over. It was the image from STS-7 is from the Paraguayan peninsula of Valencia. Wow. Venezuela. Sorry, see, I can't read. Venezuela. So that's awesome. Thank you, Richard, for doing some amazing geography skills there.
Is it Paraguay or Venezuela?
I have to put it into the ticker so you can see it there, read it out properly rather than my lack of eyesight. Me trying to read it.
Peninsula. Oh, okay. Hang on. I'm gonna Google it. But continue.
Very good. And Trevor Sesnick.
Oh, who's that?
Yeah, can you explain why Endeavour is the best shuttle? Well, we can't.
It's not.
Oh, I
Because
sure
it's
can.
It's just not.
It's
It
just not.
absolutely is.
Dearie me.
Trevor, thank you for the support there. I mean, you're right.
It wasn't support. It was just that no space flight.
No, I know. But
is the
supporting my
Paraguay.
cause.
Yeah.
It is the Paraguay Peninsula, and apparently there's
Wow.
crazy like brine pools that are like red. This is cool.
Very good. That is cool. Well, I think that is. I'll tell you one thing. I did say we struggled to do an hour with STS-7 and STS-8. We've done an hour and 15 minutes with just STS-7. So that just shows you how much content we've got to go through here. And I've gone through just the highlighted photographs. There's a lot more photographs. If you're an L2 member, I've bumped the thread in L2 for STS-7, so you can just basically click on L2 Historical, and it'll be right there in front of your face. So that's kind of cool if you're an L2 member. Again, thank you for all your support during this. Just watching it is supporting us. You don't have to support us monetarily at all. Being a guest and just watching these streams is fun and cool and helps us. So it's all benefits all round. Very much appreciated for all of you. And I also want to thank the people who joined me on this one. First of all, starting with Sawyer. Thank you, Sawyer.
My absolute pleasure. It's always fun to flex. I mean, talk about Shuttle.
I will save those photographs for the next Shuttle Sunday. I can't bring them across right now, but I will definitely show them on the next Shuttle Sunday because it'll be relevant to the pad as well. The demolition of the rotating service structure, and also show lots of pictures of you with astronauts. Yes, no problem at all.
Yeah, there may or may not have been one that was posted of me with Bob Crippen and with Barbara Morgan, and so yeah. But honestly, it was an absolute pleasure. And one more thing I did want to point out historic-wise with this is that this was also the first time that you had a female Capcom talking to a female astronaut as well, with Mary Cleave acting as Capcom at one point.
Nice little bit of trivia there. Thank you very much, Sawyer. And thank
Gotta
you
end
also
it with some cool stuff.
And thanks also to Jack. Thanks for joining us, Jack.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it makes sense that we filled an hour and 15 on just STS-7. It's a very historic mission, first American woman in space, and of course we had to talk about the bipod ramp foam loss. So we got that out of the way, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more as we go through the rest of the program, and there's more foam losses and all of that. But yeah, always love doing Shuttle Sunday. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for all the support.
I think we might be going back to, well, we'll be staying on Space Coast Live with this stream, but I think for people's programming knowledge, we might be of interest to go to Starbase Live, because I do believe Kevin Michael Reed's favourite ship is being moved, potentially for scrapping. Ship 26 is moving.
Scrap it,
Scrap
scrap it,
it,
scrap it,
scrap
scrap it.
Sorry, Michael. Sorry, Kevin Michael Reed, but unfortunately, it is time they made space by getting rid of the trash. Oh, that's harsh.
Yes.
It's harsh, but it's true. But look, enough of that, because we're recording this, and people at the end of this recording are going, what they're talking about. So if you've missed this, if you joined us late, you could scroll back. But if you've missed this and you're listening to it now as a recording, well done, because it has been recorded and it will be uploaded to our channel probably later on tonight or this evening or today, depends what time zone you're on. But on Sunday, basically, it'll be uploaded to our channel. But until then, thanks for joining us, and until next time, goodbye.